there are 26 participants.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Satish sir, be proceed. Continue. Satish
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. I welcome to Dr. Veena madam for the today's session, research designing, formatting and indexing. And also welcome to all participants of this coursework. Now I request to Srimati Vidya Moite madam to give the introduction of today's guest person.
Okay, sir. Good evening. Welcome to all of you. It is a great pleasure to start these sessions. I'm going to introduce today's guest lecturer, Dr. Veena Joshi, ma'am. Ma'am currently working as a head and professor, Department of Geography, SPPU, Pune. Ma'am, educational qualification is MA, B.Ed, MPhil, PhD, and ma'am have 35 years teaching experience, and the major scientific field in interest is geomorphology of semi-arid erosions, semi-arid areas, quaternary geomorphology, soil erosion, and under such guidance, three students have awarded PhD degree and three students have ongoing PhD. Ma'am have guided 20 student master dissertations, and my ma'am's H index is 8. And I have, ma'am have 7 book and article review. Ma'am number of 3 books edited, and ma'am has completed 4 national and national level research projects and 3 international research project completed. Second one, ma'am have published a 14 research paper published for a peer reviewed journal, and ma'am have 14 research paper presented in international conference and 15 research paper presented in national conference also. Ma'am is a member of editorial board of research journal like Annals of Alexandria, Fuse, University of Romania, and last one, ma'am have various membership of academic books bodies like such as Institute of India Geographer. It means IIG. Second one, Institute of Indian Geomorphologist IGI, Maharashtra Bhugol Parishad. Second, Geological Society of India Council member, working group of hills human interface in landscape. Again, steering committee membership IGU. Last one, uh, Indian Geomatics Society Pune, and Hazard and Risk Commissions Geographical Union, and ma'am have various countries visited for collaborative research and conference such as Tokyo, Indiana, Athens, Colorado, London, Vietnam, Germany, Malaysia, and Singapore also. Ma'am is also have received international awards such as Ireminas Mundus Fellowships. Second, Fulbright Neuro Environmental Leadership Fellowship, USA 2011. Fulbright Neuro Senior Research Fellowship, USA 2011. Uh, and GSPS International Fellowship, Japan 2018. And ma'am have awarded UGIT's Excellence Award 2020, Karnataka Science and Technology Union of Geoinformations and Technologies, and Bangalore University. May I request you can start your lecture. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction of me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, the participant? Please just say yes, one of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know what? I wish I could see you personally. I could have looked into your eyes. I would have loved to interact with you, but I cannot see any of you. That's a regret. But never mind. In this situation, this is the best that we can take out of it. I would like to be known as Veena madam, who is trying to learn some geography, who is trying to learn some geomorphology, and that's what I would like to be known as. I was teaching in SP College for 20 years before I came to Pune University. So it's SP College is so close to my heart. Before I begin my talk, I'll tell you a story. It's not a story actually. It's something which I have experienced. I have many students, in the last 40 years of teaching. There are so many students in different walks of life. And there are some students who are there in film fraternity. And they keep calling me. So I go to the film sets, film shooting, the whole editing, sound effect. And finally, after 2 or 3 years of that project, a film is made. And very closely, I have had the occasion of watching what is a filmmaking. It starts with a script, a director selecting different scenes where to shoot them. The shooting is done not continuously, as the story says, bit by bit, pieces by pieces. Very strenuous tasks. The actors are there, they are acting. There is sound and music, light, effect that is done in the editing, and finally film comes out. And I know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking, Joshi madam has lost it. She was supposed to be coming here and talking to us about research methodology and what is that she is doing, that she is talking about filmmaking. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues and students, research designing is exactly like this. So now I'll share my screen to you. I'll make you my presentation now. Okay. Our Pune University. Punyamayi de amha akshar varadana. This is what is Pune University ka song. Of all the gift, akshar ka gift, the gift of education is biggest of all. And I just love it. All my lectures in the class as well as outside, I begin with this Punyamayi de amha akshar varadana. So this is supposed to be the topic that I'll be talking to you today. Research designing, formatting and indexing, and I took the liberty of adding one more aspect, that is ethics in research. I did not give it when I gave the topic, but I thought it's very, very relevant that I have to put into it. So if somebody has already spoken to you about it, you'll have to once again listen to me. Research methodology. These are everything about research methodology that I have listed. And out of these, I'll be speaking today about research designing, research ethics, formatting, and indexing. So I'll begin this way. When I say research designing, what exactly it is? I give you an example of a film. How filmmaking is done. It is a huge project. When I say I did a PhD, I produced a thesis. But behind those theses, a lot of things have gone into it, just like a filmmaking. Next time when you watch a film, so I'll just give you an example, say Lord of the Rings, okay? Or Game of Thrones. This time, while watching the movie, just see the background, which we don't realize while watching because we are absorbed into that film. We are into the story. But in order to make that story a big success, a lot of things are coming from behind which we do not know. The result is either a film is a big hit, a big flop, or something in between. So same thing is in research. It is the combination of so many things, and finally what comes out is a thesis. It begins with defining a research problem. The most important thing. I think somebody must have spoken to you about it, but briefly, because if I have to talk about research design, I cannot actually just jump how to design without briefly touching all these points. Research which is problem oriented, or research which is generative. But actual, I'll give you an example. When we say defining a research problem, what do we mean? Research is nothing but creating something which did not exist. Or research is a problem is there and I'm trying to solve it. This is called as research. Geomorphology of Mula Basin. Slope of this basin. That is called a data generation because there is no problem. Research is COVID-19 is hitting the world now. All of a sudden it has arrived. Nobody was prepared for it. And we are struggling to solve the problem. So many things scientists are putting into it, pharmaceutical, from this sector. And this is called as research. One day, a day is going to come that the virus is going to be overcome. So when we say defining a problem, if it is a good research, it begins with defining a problem. That what is the research question? Why is it happening like that? Or for example, I'll say, I'm a geomorphologist, so I tend to give a lot of examples from geomorphology, but I'll give you an example which all of you can relate to. I go to a village of Maharashtra or Karnataka or anywhere, okay? And we know how Maharashtrian looks. And suddenly I find a village where everybody looks different. Only one village is there. Their skin color is different. Their eye color is different. Their height is different. And this group totally look different, but they are in the heart of the middle of Maharashtra. Then a thought comes to my mind. I said, why is it so that these people are not looking like the rest of the group? A problem, a research question. It's a very, very simple example. But yes, I would like to know why is it so that this group of people are not like any of these people which are surrounding the whole of the state or the country. They look different. So I already have a research problem. I'm going to begin with research designing. The thought is bothering me a lot because I need to find out the reason. This is not known. Something is there in this village. Then the next thing is, okay, I have decided to take it up as my project. I have decided to take it up as my PhD topic. And I form an object. With that thought, that research problem, I'm going to say that why is it so that this group of people who are inhabited in this part is totally different in terms of their ethnic features, their behavior, their height and everything. And the objective, so my objective is to try to find out what is the reason behind it, okay? Or I can give another geomorphological example. This was a very, very common example that I was thinking of. I can think about, now let us take the example of, say, Chandanapuri, Sangamner. Those are the areas that I've been working over the years. Few tens of years ago, let us say, during the days of my PhD, and later on, what I have seen, enormous amount of change in the landscape. I saw it with my own eyes. This was an area, this is Nashik highway. I think some of you must be from that area or you must have seen it. You know. As you are going towards Nashik, you will find this Chandanapuri Ghat which is about, say, some 20 kilometers ahead of Sangamner or a little more. On either side of it, there were badlands. I'm talking about the days of my PhD, which was long ago. That was one of my study areas. And then afterwards, in my own eyes, as I finished my PhD and started going for other studies, slowly I saw all those badlands got completely left. If you go today, you will think that I'm joking. Nothing of what I am saying is what is there right now. In the year 2000, the Maharashtra government announced a lot of schemes in Maharashtra, in semi-arid area. Dams were built, weirs were built. Suddenly the farmers started getting water and they started irrigating the fields. Badlands have gone. It's now become like Ganga Valley, full of agriculture, and to make the things worse or good, I don't know, it depends. Very recently, from 2005, they have taken this whole road from the plateau and cut the route, cut the mountain to form the road. And every year when I go, I see the road fall. So I saw in the last 40 years what this area had changed by human. It's no longer, no geomorphology is left now, which is natural. And it is the thumb rule that anything which is caused by nature, nature has got its own mechanism to cope up with it. Someday it comes to the original path. If it is a human who is doing this interference, nature does not, we don't give time for recovery. So I formulate another research project. In the last 40 years, this human have interfered and converted the entire area into a landscape. So my next objective, what is its effect on geomorphological process and what is going to happen in next coming 5 decades? See, I have picked from another research project. Yeah. So I begin with defining a research problem. That is very, very important. It is a problem. If problem is not there, it is not research. So COVID, yes, it's a problem. We have to solve it. Nobody one day say, oh, today our department is, we have a holiday. Chalo, doctor के पास जाके जरा check करके आएंगे. ऐसे तो हम बोलते नहीं. हम doctor के पास कब जाते हैं? When we have a problem. So it always begins with a problem. Second, diagnosis. Diagnosis has to be correct. If the diagnosis is not correct, any amount of medicine which we take is not going to cure it. And that is when we come as, well, we are going to design and define methodology now. So this second part of diagnosis part is what we call it as methodology and research design. Because if this is a problem, then I'll have to create the correct questions. Let us take the example of the first one. There's a group of people who are looking different. So what should I do now? Now I'm going to generate data. And so this research designing part is the moment I have a research problem, before I do anything else, I sit down and take several days and a month and make a sketch of what is that I'm going to do. What are the data that needs to be put into it? How am I going to generate this data? How this data is going to be arranged? How the analysis is to be done? And, well, so let us design this one, okay? If I were you, what I would have done is, मैंने वो विलेज में जाके बोल दिया कि क्या तुम लोग कौन सी चक्की का आटा खाते हैं कि तुम लोग अलग है, ऐसा पूछो? I don't think so. I know that it has something to do with this whole group of people are genetically different. Genetically different. Fair and Lovely and all these ads are only for television. Actually, the physiology of a human is genetic. And I know that, so I'll try to find out whether a group of people had migrated it from somewhere in the past, from somewhere, and intermingled into this group of people. Well, I'm designing because I'm thinking, because I don't know. It's just like COVID, we don't know anything. We are experimenting now. But we cannot afford to be like this. In case of research, I would have thought of all these things. In case of COVID, it came and hit us without getting any time for us for preparation. So we are still designing. So in case of research design, I would have thought of it earlier. Then various kind of data generation technique I'm going to think of. So in the design, I'm going to put data analysis and heading after heading, depending on what kind of research it is, whether it is physical geography or climatology or geomorphology or human geography. I will be thinking, if it is this problem, then I'll go and talk to people. I'll look at the records. And if I'm allowed, I wouldn't even mind to go for some DNA samples to see whether actually this group of people has got a different DNA. Or if it is a geomorphology example that I gave it to you, I will design it differently. Because I have already asked a question. जब तक मैं correct question पूछेंगे नहीं, कभी भी correct जवाब मिलेगा नहीं. This is the most important part. Those things which are not necessary, we don't need to waste time on doing things. सिर्फ नुसतं देख data generate करत बसायचं. त्याचा काय उपयोग आहे? I'm going to generate only the data which is absolutely relevant to this study. So I'll think, and not just thinking, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read enormous amount of literature. Because you tell me from where I will get the knowledge if I do not read it. I'm just sitting and just thinking, but nothing will come out. That is when review of the literature comes. For us, review of the literature is, some 5, 6, and it's not that. For us to design a research, for us to know how it is to be done. Because unfortunately, in our situation, how a PhD is done, a student comes to a teacher and said, "Sir, madam, मुझे आपके साथ PhD करना है." तो टीचर बोलेंगे, ठीक है, ये टॉपिक ले लो. ओके मैडम, सर मैंने ये टॉपिक ले लिया है, व्हाट नेक्स्ट? सर और मैडम बोलेंगे, तुम ये करो. अच्छा, मैंने कर लिया. अच्छा, फिर जाने का, ये अच्छा कर लिया. But that is not how research is done, actually. That's not how it is done. And you know why I'm telling you this. I don't want to elaborate in it. We are going to create stuff. If the teacher had already known about it, research kyun karne ka na? Teachers also don't know, because we are now trying to enter into a field for which the answer we do not have. So together, we start reading. Try to collect information as much as possible. And today, when the internet is there right in front of me, it is very, very possible. And institutions are paying a lot of money to access Elsevier. Ye sab baat mein aayega in the later part of my talk. So with that, now I'm going to design methodology part by part. So what I'll try to do? Well, first I need to know how this area was like before all these disturbances come. अगर मुझे ये बात जानना जरूरी है कि इतने 40 साल में 50 साल में इतना चेंज हो गया है, तो in the next few years, few decades, what are the going to be changes? If I would like to find it out, I need to know how things were before anything got changed. एक data की जरूरत है. So an undisturbed, when the area was not disturbed, then what will I do? I will try to find out a digital, now it is called as digital elevation model, but 50 years before we didn't have it, a topo sheet. which will show how this area was like before any human interference came. I'm going to create a digital elevation model with that. Why? Because in the later part of my talk, I'll tell it to you how this technology helps. It helps. That's not everything. And then what I will do, step by step, now I am going to obtain, which was the last time I had the digital elevation model of this area. We had it from 70s, but they are very, very post resolution. We want digital elevation model of the last. Then I'm going to do I need to do a lot of data mingling. Because मुझे ऐसा कुछ सीन क्रिएट करने का है, स्टेप बाय स्टेप ये कैसा बदल गया, इसका मुझे डॉक्यूमेंटल प्रूफ, साइंटिफिक प्रूफ, लेकिन अलग अलग डेटा को मैं कंपेयर नहीं कर सकती. That is when came my knowledge, technological knowledge. ये मुझे अभी मदद करने वाला है. I'm going to learn now image processing techniques. Because if I don't know that, how will I compare 70 years before and today when the data is all different? Kato said data is different. Ester data is different. SRTM data is different. And we do not have anything like laser scanner or LiDAR. So this is what the students make the mistake. They get hold of all this data and directly start comparing. No, I need to bring all of them in. Then what I'm going, in my designing, I'm going to write down that when was the last time the satellite image started getting for this area? Because satellite image is the toposhi to badalta hi nahi hai. और आज जाके मैंने फोटो निकाला या किया तो gap is 70 years, but which में बहुत satellite images आए. I'm going to take the help of that. In order to, do those research, image processing, now I have no choice but to learn because I have no choice. GIS आया करो, remote sensing आया करो, इसलिए नहीं, मुझे जरूरत पड़ा है. उसके सिवाय मेरा रिसर्च होने वाला नहीं. I am going to put it in my design. And then I know what is that I need to do. Again in the design, I am going to put that. Then how am I going to do? If I put it in digital format, I can use a GIS software, and therefore वो जो पुराना तोपोशी थे उसको भी मैं डिजिटल में कन्वर्ट करने वाली हूँ. And there are enormous techniques coming up, one by one. The ones which I need, I'm going to learn right now, which is going to put all of them in the same data resolution. And then I'm going to now see that 2000 में कैसा हुआ था और 2005 में कैसा बदल गया. How much of that area has got level? Then 2005 से लेके 2015 में उन्होंने mountain को कैसा cut कर लिया, the rock fall का evidence. And now I'm going to do some prediction as well. I'm not going to be just happy and stop at what has happened till about. ठीक है, that's a good information, लेकिन उससे knowledge कहाँ बढ़ता है? Knowledge तो तब बढ़ता है कि आगे जो क्या हुआ है इसी को देख के फ्यूचर को कैसा प्रोटेक्ट करने का. This is what we need to do. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to predict the future. As it is, this area was undergoing. So all the natural environment induces it. Is it really going to be a very good idea to, convert it all into agricultural area और हम सब हमारा problem solve हो गया कि नहीं? Absolutely not. A lot of studies when we actually went out into the field, I found, because those sediment analysis, then मेरे भी दिमाग में आया कि क्या ये इतना 40 साल से ये लोग इरिगेशन कर रहा है, क्या सचमुच ये बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है, क्या सॉइल के ऊपर तो कोई इफेक्ट नहीं. Then I realized that I need to do was mechanical as well as chemical analysis. Again, I put it in my design. And so many things, morphology. And remember, If it is geomorphology, once again geomorphology, because that's what I do, or any other research. If you would like to do research of a village, if you would like to do research of in a mountain, you have to go to the mountain. Satellite image se kuch nahi hota hai, to sirf help hota hai. So I will be visiting the field several number of times. Take data. Lekin kaun si data le lo? That is what I don't know. I am going to put it in my design based on my reading and understanding. And by the end of the story, I have got a fat notebook. I have designed what I wanted. I have not even begun my research, but I have designed. I'm going to now predict that, well, everything seems to be well now. Because the farmers are doing a lot of agriculture. They are happy, they are selling, they are even growing sugarcane, can you believe it, in those semi-arid areas. Ye jo groundwater hai na, this groundwater has been accumulated over millions of years. 4 साल में 10 साल में पूरा खलास कर दिया. Pumped out everything. Flood irrigation कर दिया. लेकिन those sediment are so rich in calcium carbonate. 4 साल के अंदर उसके ऊपर crust आ गया. So many things. And I even saw that there are areas, because you actually do not stop gully formation just by leveling the land. That energy is still there. It's going to show it in some way or other. One high rainfall and all the field pura nast. So then, my one research has reached to the another, that what will be, where we are going. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि all is well, और ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि the kind of land use that we are putting on the land, it's not very scientific. We need to design something else. So I have got my research designed ready. Okay. Which you will find it in your internet. I have already designed one research before you. I can do a lot, but I have to speak about many things. Ab dekho. If you go to internet, you will find bombarding information about what is the research design. For a meaningful research, you have to do that. And there are names and names and names and names like, purpose statement, techniques for the data collection, methods for research analysis, type of research methodology, probable objections to conducting research, research study setting, timeline, etc., etc. You'll find so many things. And I thought, there are so many. After this lecture is over, if you have time after you go home, you are at home, of course. Just go to internet and write research designing, and the material which you find, that will confuse you. You will start telling that, forget it. This is longitudinal research design, horizontal research design, this research design, coherent design. क्या करने का है? उसका कोई use होता है actual research में? वो तो theory में लिखने के लिए होता है. If you want, I also put something. But research design is, you make a framework. That's why I was comparing it with the film shooting and filmmaking. Because in the end, a thesis, in the end, a movie of 2.5 hours. So many things have gone into that. So many things have gone. If one thing goes wrong, nobody will come to watch the movie. So, in case of research, in geographical research, I cannot say that. If anything goes wrong, let's not be pessimistic at the moment. Let us look at only the bright side of it. But actual research cannot go wrong. Because basically research is to try to quest for knowledge, to add to what is already existing, right? So abhi dekho, quantitative and qualitative, there are so many names. लेकिन मैंने सब कुछ बोल दिया है मेरे तरफ से. For example, देखो, quantitative research design. Like, for example, they are saying Amazon, Amazon or eBay. We have got online shops now, and everything we are doing online. And immediately next moment, a feedback form comes. Yeah, it's a survey. They give you, please take out a few minutes of your time and give us the feedback. They keep asking questions from 0 to 10, 0 to 10. And based on your experience, you click one of them. Quantitative research. In the end, it can tabulate. So if they have done this kind of tabulation for 100 people or 500 people, a data comes out which says that, well, 50% of the customers are not happy with the way we have done the packaging. 10% are very happy with, the quality of the product. Yeah, some data. This is what we call something which we can count in number. But there are so many things in research which you cannot count in numbers. A thought has come to my mind. Can I put my thought to any number? No. I have got a doubt. मेरे दिमाग में ऐसा आया है कि this gully erosion could have been caused due to the flood which occurred in 2005. Or see, मेरे दिमाग में एक doubt आया. In research, everything is not something which is countable and which you can put it into a table. There are so many things. You will realize it as you go. Confusions are there, thoughts are there. And in such a case, tabulation doesn't help because then how do you design? In case of the previous one, it was so easy. All that you have to do is the opinion and put it in the table. I've just given a small example, million example I can give, but let's not do that. In case of qualitative research, the designing has to be done with enormous time and thought. Why this is happening? I don't know. मुझे पता नहीं, इसीलिए तो रिसर्च कर रहे हैं ना. अगर मुझे पता होता तो रिसर्च क्यों करती हूँ? So I know nothing at this point of time. All that I have is a problem. Yeah. So अभी देखो, forgive me if I use this again and again, but COVID, हमको लग रहा था सब कुछ ठीक हो रहा है. By January, February, we started believing that, and suddenly you see what is happening again, a second wave. Did we think about it? No, we didn't know about it. We don't even know what is going to happen afterwards. Still we are struggling. तो तुम कौन से number दोगे इसमें? What kind of number are you going to give in any of this study? No? So, those kind of research where the designing has to be done using various methods, combination of various methods. Tomorrow I'll do a textural analysis and I got this value. I'm going to find answer. No, I'm going to assist with many others. Or I'll go and I'll ask a question. I'll be asking the question, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, नहीं. ऐसे बहुत प्रश्न रहता है वो yes, no से काम नहीं होता. So, qualitative research design, quantitative research. I am telling it to you. If you want to write it in the examination, you remember some names. Otherwise, don't worry at all. Just be practical. That before you begin, you will think, and each problem will have different designs. No two research will have the same design based on what is that you would like to do. I found this also in the internet. I mean, there were so many material that I realized that I shouldn't tell any of them to you because मुझे भी याद में नहीं रही और उसका research पे क्या use है वो तो मुझे पता ही नहीं. Fixed research design, flexible research design. Fixed research design किसको बोलते हैं मालूम है कि मैं एक क्वेश्चनर लेके गया हूँ उसमें सब लिखा है yes no yes no yes no yes no tick 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 or you get 2-3 options multiple MCQ. Our MCQ right now is nothing but fixed because the answer is out one of those two or one of those four. Yeah, cannot be anything beyond that. But ऐसे भी होता है that you take some questions for which the answer you did not decide. Let it come from that side. And flexible design is such that I allow changes as I progress, and which I have done several number of times, I and my students. रिसर्च की शुरुआत में हमने जो टॉपिक लिया, आगे चलकर समझ में आया we need to change this. We need for several reasons. डेटा ठीक से नहीं मिल रहा था, डेटा मिला तो कुछ हो रहा था, and then we found something more interesting and additional. We think no, we need to add this also. अगर मैंने पहले से ही सब फिक्स करके रख दिया तो there is no scope for change. But research लास्ट डे तक चेंज होता है, बिकॉज हमें पता नहीं कि रिजल्ट क्या, जैसा रिजल्ट वैसे हम बदलते जाएंगे. What we were thinking. Some of you, some teacher must have already spoken to you about hypothesis and all that. हमने शुरुआत में कुछ और सोचा था, डेटा का रिजल्ट तो कुछ और निकल रहा है, तो हमें बदलना पड़ रहा है. और this year was 2009, okay? I had, with a group of students, I had gone to Ghargaon. Ghargaon is again also on that area only. And we had finalized so many study area, backland areas. And 2009 made ArcGIS and high resolution DMs were not available. It was just coming, people had started using, but we were still depending on Topushe. So I and a group of students had entered into that, and after going there, what we found was, जो तपोषित में दिखाई दे रहा है उसका करीब का कोई संबंध नहीं है. यहाँ पे किसी ने घर बना लिया, किसी ने घर बना लिया, and we said, what should we do? Okay, I changed the topic. In that same area, we spent 2 more days, moved at the entire area, and found the features. And we say, okay, now let us try to find out when was the first stage of reclamation and what was the change that we find in the land. See, flexible research design. And you will find million, you don't worry about it. So I have already told it to you. What is research design? Research design is the combination of, it's not, see, finding a research problem, which comes with a research question. Then I have formed the objective. Once I have formed the objective, this is the most difficult part. Diagnosis and the medicine. जब तक वो diagnosis correct नहीं होते, the answer lies somewhere, and I am doing something else. So अगर मैंने सारी दुनिया का data analysis किया तो thesis इतना बड़ा पड़ेगा, that will just become a garbage, which is not giving me anything. I am going to find out what is the data that I need to generate if this is the answer that I want. And then, step by step, like how editing is done in filmmaking, I am going to decide. Right now, I don't want to tell you about all different types of research designing. Oh, practically, that doesn't help. So practically, you sit down and अगर तुमने ये step को cross करके PhD या research करने के लिए गए तो there is a big loophole. This is what is happening. Designing is not done properly. What is the data that you need to put? What is the data analysis? तो फिर डेटा एनालिसिस बोला तो करने के लिए मुझे स्किल चाहिए. Then, here briefly I would like to, I already told you about literature review. Literature review नाम का एक चीज है ना, वो अलग से आते नहीं. जिस दिन तुमको लगा कि मुझे रिसर्च करना है, उसी दिन से शुरू होती है. Because उसी से ही तो उनको समझ में आता है कि what methodology. It's only in India. You go to any part of the world in the universities. Japan में, I think it was in Australia. There was a girl. For 2 years, she didn't have a research book. Uska guide was my host. He was guiding about some 20 students. 4 महीने में एक बार दिखने के लिए मिलता रहेगा because they are very busy. They find it by themselves. So, बोली Veena, तुम जरा मदद करो. That Chinese girl was telling it to me. She was telling me, this is what I have read. 2 years, huh? 2 साल. एक topic define करने के लिए. Because they have been left. And तुझे ऐसा लगता होगा, how cruel those teachers are, no? They are not cruel. ये PhD जिस दिन खत्म हो जाएगा उसी दिन से they have already become expert, these students. That training we don't have it. I also didn't have it. I still don't do. And therefore हमको तो लगता है कि जैसा क्लास में जाके सिखाते हैं उसकी तरह सर मैं क्या करूं, मैडम मैं क्या सर भगवान है क्या, मैडम भगवान है, तू करो, you find it out, let us do it together, I'll help you, from there you will get the source. And because they are thrown into the river, they try to swim by themselves, and that's how they are publishing, that's how they are creating research. हमारा यहाँ पे क्या होता है, PhD जिस दिन मिलता है उसके बाद I have not seen any of my students after they got the degree, because they got what they wanted. And therefore, I am telling it to you, ये literature review है ना, ये अलग से मत सोचो, it's a part and parcel. इसलिए जब interview के लिए student आते हैं, तो मैं पूछती हूँ कि tell me at least the name of 5 articles that you have. Nothing. Don't do that, okay? Then purpose and hypothesis, type of, but ये सब जो चीज है ना, ये part and parcel आता है. And then I have now thought over कि मैंने एक रिसर्च को डिजाइन कर लिया है, और मैंने जो किया हुआ डिजाइन है ये एंड है, ऐसा मत समझना, आगे चलकर बहुत बदलने वाली है. You will get to know as you enter into that field, you will get to know more and more things. Arey, this is not necessary. Arey, there is better data. Arey, I have to do this as well. You will communicate with people. You will read more if you do real research. I am telling it to you. So the design which I had done also is going to change, but I began with the design. If I do without any design, then what happens? GIS. Remote sensing. Everybody does that. If there is a research, there has to be remote sensing and GIS. क्या जरूरी है? जहाँ पे जरूरत है वहाँ पे use करो. It is absolutely necessary that you learn it, because वक्त आएगा, depending on what is the methodology, what is the topic that you have decided. Tomorrow, मेरे कंपाउंड में रोज फ्रॉग बहुत आवाज कर रहा है और हमारा नींद टूट रहा है, बहुत गुस्सा आया. सुबह का 4 बज गया तो जोर जोर से को आवाज करता है, और मैंने क्या किया, बाहर निकला, मेरे यहाँ पे AK-47 राइफल, मैंने उसको निकाला और फ्रॉग को मार लिया. क्या जरूरत है? AK-47 राइफल की जरूरत है फ्रॉग को मारने के लिए? बिल्कुल भी नहीं. तो उसका क्या यूज है? ऐसी बहुत रिसर्च हो सकती है कि वहां पे रिमोट सेंसिंग GIS की जरूरत नहीं. और tomorrow, if an enemy satellite is going to put bomb on us, only and only way to defeat them is I'm going to send here a missile. उसके सिवाय हम बचने वाले हैं. तो मिसाइल का भी नॉलेज की जरूरत है हमें, लेकिन मिसाइल हर जगह पे यूज करने का है क्या? या AK-47 और वो मिसाइल आया है तो मेरा ये बंदूक से काम चलेगा ना? Based on the objective, I design my methodology. And this is when students are doing barabar mistakes, especially geomorphology students, because I am from geomorphology. DM, Astro DEM, ये DEM, and ये analysis, that analysis, उसका कोई question नहीं, वो result का कोई मतलब नहीं, कुछ भी. So today you have to remember, when you design the research, you will also think what is the appropriate data, because मैं एक example दे दिया, मिसाइल का भी जरूरत हो सकती है, और एक कॉकरोच रहेगा तो एक हिट से काम भी चल सकता है. तुझे पता चलना चाहिए कौन सी वक्त पे क्या. So you have to equip yourself with all possible skill, but use it when it is required. I have to present, I have to talk, I have to give a lecture to, let us say, Delhi University. Yeah. So what is my objective and purpose? That there's a group of students like you, and I'm going to give a lecture to them. So what I will do, I'll prepare the lecture. I will make sure that at least 15 minutes or half an hour before the lecture starts, I'm already present somewhere in the hall. And I started and give a good lecture. Yeah, this is my objective. So my objective is that अगर मैं late आ गए तो खराब हो गया, अगर मैं पहुंच नहीं सकी तो बुरा हुआ, etc. etc. अगर मैं ठीक तरह से बोल नहीं सकी, etc. etc. So my whole objective is me giving a very good lecture. पुणे से दिल्ली तक मैं कैसे आई, तुझे क्या लेना देना? मैं एरोप्लेन में आया हुआ रहेगा अगर मेरे पास पैसे रहेगा तो, ट्रेन से आया हुआ रहेगा, कार से आया हुआ रहेगा तो, बैलगाड़ी से आया हुआ रहेगा तो तुझे क्या करने का है? Who cares? How did I come there? But I came there. That is what is important. This was my objective and I met the objective, and in order to meet that objective, I have used different means. So this different means, GIS, RS is not research, but it helps. तुम्हें क्या मैं बैलगाड़ी से दिल्ली जाऊं? मेरे पास इतना टाइम है क्या कार में बैठ के जाऊं? Million of things I need to do. So I sit in an aeroplane and go. So many things I have saved by going there. I spend a little more money, but so किसने कहा GIS help नहीं करता? लेकिन मैंने already आपको बोल दिया है तुम कैसे पहुंचते हैं किसी को लेना देना नहीं. And therefore, too much of importance on something which is not necessary. This also I will put it in my research design. Okay, I think I have spoken a lot about research design. And since, let me see how much time do I have now, 5:22. Okay, I still have something. So now let us see. The second point that I'm going to talk is a lot of interesting, I'm sure. So research design in my own way, I have conveyed to you. How you have understood it is your intelligence. Okay. So now let us see the second point. The academic research enterprise is built on a foundation of trust. Do you know what does it mean? A foundation of trust. Before I show the next slide, I'll give you an example. I get a thesis from Bengal, or from Kashmir, or from Kanyakumari, or from Belgium, or from France, or forget about the thesis. Let us talk about research publication. It goes to the reviewers. So a research paper comes to me, and I'm going to read it and evaluate it and see whether it is good enough to be published in this journal. Us research mein bahut kuch rahega. They must be using this data, they must be doing that. क्या मैं वो डेटा देखने गई? उन्होंने कहा है कि ये मैंने फार्मर लोगों के साथ बातें करने के बाद 1000 फार्मर ने ये बोला है. क्या मैं सचमुच गई थी वो देखने के लिए? नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. I am believing what this person has said, what this researcher has written. I am taking his word for it, based on how the research is made. So, academic research enterprise is built on the foundation of trust. कि जो भी उसने कहा है, ये गलत नहीं. This is based on his own data collection. This is what we call it as research ethics. कुछ चीजों को हम ethics बोलते हैं. That's not a rule. That's not a law. But this is some moral binding. A moral binding. ये ethical नहीं है. आप लोगों ने सुना हुआ है. This is not ethical. यानी कि मैंने किया तो कोई कुछ बोलने वाला नहीं. लेकिन हम करते नहीं कुछ चीज. Something binds us. कितना भी गलत रहा तो भी 70 years की एक आदमी या हमारे घर का हमारा grandfather ऐसे कुछ गुस्सा करने के लिए हमको कुछ बात, तुमने जाके उसके मुंह पे कभी थप्पड़ मारा? Never. You won't do that. Even if you know that he's irritating, he's bugging you, he's saying the wrong things, because generations are different. Something stops me from doing something. That something is what we call it as ethics. But in research, law is going to be there. That's why I decided to put this topic today with formatting and indexing as well, because today when everything is available on internet, everything, Guru Purnima ke din mein Google ka image aata hai, I don't feel bad about it, because मैं भी Google को ही नमस्कार करती हूँ. Teacher is different, information is different, wisdom is different. So I also get information from Google, so I have no problem with that. Anything means it's so scary. It is so scary. We are happy that today new technology has come. Another next evolution is machine. And we are laugh when we say next evolution is machine. क्यों नहीं? Life came on the earth 570 million years ago, the period which we call it as Phanerozoic. First fossils, and then higher form of life, and then dinosaurs. An asteroid came and hit the earth. अगर वो नहीं आया होता तो हम नहीं आए होते. Dinosaur would never have allowed us to get born. Dinosaur got wiped out. Primates have come out. And again, finally, just 2 million years before, we came, people who can think, people who can have conscience. That is how this species is different than the previous species. So, whenever a new species comes, that is always more powerful than the previous ones. So today we are the most powerful ones. May not be physically, but we can think, we can create, and we are creating a more powerful evolution now. अगर 570 million years का evolution के बात कर रहे हैं, तो what makes you believe that we are the last in the evolution? We are going to be changed into some other evolution, and that evolution is called as machine. We are very happy about artificial intelligence. Let us be happy. But एक दिन Terminator movie, those science fiction movie have already shown, Wall-E movie, a day is going to come that we and the machine car, and then something, because think of another 100 million years, do you think that you and I, human, will remain in the same form? By no means. So, without going further into my philosophy, it's not philosophy, okay? अगर हम 10,000 साल जिए होते, तो ये एक दिन थ्रू होते हुए हमने देखा होता, but our lifetime में शायद we won't get to see it, लेकिन ये होने वाला है. And we are in the making of it. So today we are in an exodus of information. So, copying, cut pasting one from here, importing something from here, किसी को भी पता नहीं चलेगा. Hacking something from here, then what will stop you? Ethics will stop. Because it is built on trust. You won't do it because you don't want to do it. अगर करने का रहेगा तो कुछ भी कर सकते. So, application of fundamental ethical principles to a variety of topics. So, research में the most important thing is research ethics. Human experimentation, now, and mostly it is applied in medical research. This you all know. Human experimentation is not allowed. Animal experimentation is not allowed. Fraud is not allowed. Fabrication of data is not allowed. Plagiarism. किसी की काम को मेरे काम ही करके दिखाना और छोटे से हिंदी में उसको चोरी करना, ये सब आता है ethics में. Research ethic is most developed as a concept in medical research, but now there is a law which binds all of us researchers. Helsinki in 1964, we have got research ethics ka law. We can no longer see now. क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. Student कहाँ से सीखे? Advisor and mentor, यानी कि guide, supervisor, fellow graduate students, family, friends, not friends outside may not be together. ये जो स्लाइड मैंने इधर उधर से लिया है, ग्रेजुएट बोल रहा है, इसको ग्रेजुएट बोलते हैं हम बाहर की यूनिवर्सिटी में। फैकल्टी के लोग, रिलीजियस बिलीफ, discussions in courses, labs, seminar, professional organization, courses dealing with ethical issues, ये सब चीजें हमें सिखाते हैं। पर अभी तो लॉ हो गया है, ये बात में आ जाए। सो हम एथिक्स के साथ बड़ा होता है। कि हम जैसे जैसे बड़े होते हैं तो we grow up through the teachings of our family, teachers, surrounding से हमें कुछ चीज नहीं करना चाहिए, ये हम से बड़े, that stops us from doing things which can be so easily do. You can so easily do plagiarism nowadays. 3 sets of obligation of researchers to adhere to professional standard. An obligation to honor the trust their colleagues place in them. मेरे ऊपर विश्वास है. This will bind you. This is the most valuable thing you can't trade for anything. मेरे ऊपर विश्वास है, मेरे टीचर का, ये सोसाइटी का, मेरे फेलो कलीग्स का, and world का. This will bind me. An obligation to themselves. Irresponsible conduct in research can make it impossible to achieve the goal. If it is truly to achieve a goal, like today का COVID, ये कोविड में तो प्लाजारिज्म भी नहीं चले, कुछ नहीं चलेगा जब तक उसका एक मेडिसिन हम तैयार नहीं करते तब तक. So I have got a goal and I am truly truthful to a goal, then no amount of unethical thing is going to help. So I have got an obligation to my aim and objective as well. An obligation to act in ways that serve the public. Yes, मैं अकेले के लिए नहीं कर रही. Whatever that I do is not for my biodata only. I do it for the society. I owe it to it. These 3 things we need to remember at any point of time. So what are those ethics? Part 1 is sharing scientific knowledge. I'm doing a research and I have done a research and conducted and I have come up with some finding. I want to share it. That is what is called as publication. The actual objective of publication is to share scientific knowledge, not publishing 40 articles and become a professor. Okay? It is if I truly have done some good work and I would like to share it with the rest of the world. That's called as publication. Authorship and इसी में सारी दुनिया का गड़बड़ इसी में ही होता है. So authorship के बारे में, do I have some more research? Why publish? आया भी रहेगा, never mind. मैं अभी ही बोल देती. Authorship. As a group of, in our department there are 10 of us, 5 of us. We all went together to the field to collect the data. We are doing all possible kind of analysis together in whatever way possible. And then we are writing, finally a paper is made, किसका नाम पहला लिखो. Because जिसका नाम पहला लिखते हैं, उसी का रिसर्च होते हैं, बाकी एटोल बोलते हैं. तो it is dependent on how much of input each one has put into it. Otherwise, मैं एक example देती हूँ. A teacher is guiding a student for research. And a research paper is made by a student. अगर वो टीचर ने कहा कि तुमको मेरा नाम पहला लिखना है, हमारा सिस्टम में तो कोई स्टूडेंट नहीं बोलेगा ही नहीं. टीचर जो बोलते हैं वही करना पड़ता है. I have done, मैंने कभी किया नहीं, don't worry about me, but I am saying it to you. I have crossed an ethical violation. Yeah, authorship में, it's extremely important at what order the names of the authors का. तो जो थोड़ा पावरफुल रहता है वो उसका नाम हमेशा लिखवा सकता है. और ऐसे भी बहुत होता है कि मैं तुमको है ना ये तेरा ये जो इसका है ये देता हूँ, तेरा रिसर्च में मेरा नाम लिखो. वेरी कॉमन. हमारा ये वेबसाइट में यू राइट माय नेम आल्सो इनटू इट. वो आदमी को क्या लगता है, क्या वो मुझे ये दे रहा है, रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट देने वाला है, ये मुझे ये देने वाला है, नहीं तो मेरा पब्लिकेशन में भी मैं तुम्हारा नाम डाल दूंगा. I have crossed all the ethical violations. I did not contribute anything to that paper. And my name has come into it. Yeah. And don't even think that people don't do it. And then there is data manipulation. Data manipulation, okay. मैं एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ कि I am trying to find out कि Maharashtra, because I think many of you must be from Maharashtra, and therefore you can relate to what I'm talking. We have got many points now. Waterfall है हमारा हर एक, you know, it's Randha Fall, Nigoj में है. If you actually do a survey and map the alignment of these make points, we might even believe that these falls or these waterfalls have got created nick points during an event that something. तो मैंने पहले से ही एक hypothesis मन में बना लिया है, okay? और मैंने बोला है कि because this kind of land use is used, farmers, the land is becoming bad. So I already have got a hypothesis in my mind that पहले से ही मैंने सोच के रखा है कि ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है. जब मैंने डेटा एनालिसिस किया तो ऐसा नहीं निकला. उसमें से ऐसा 4-5 फॉल्ट ऐसा निकला कि which is not aligning at all. Because of that fault ये मेरी कहानी नहीं बन रही. Out of these 15 faults that I have, waterfall that I have generated, 4 of them are falling elsewhere. तो फिर मैंने क्या किया, मैंने ये 4 को निकाल दिया मेरा एनालिसिस. निकाल दिया, कुछ नहीं किया मैंने कुछ नहीं किया. I just removed them from my analysis. स्टोरी बन गई. Nobody is going to object to it. Very conveniently I manipulated the data. I can give million of example like that. Real research में ऐसा नहीं. अगर ये 4 अलग दिखा रहे हैं तो something else also is there. Think and go ahead and do further is what is the correct thing to do. लेकिन मैंने ऐसा नहीं किया. So data manipulation. I can give you million of examples, but you already understood. जो डेटा जिसका रिजल्ट मेरी कहानी को झूठा नहीं, मैंने उसको निकाला. और कुछ ऐसा है उसको मैंने थोड़ा बदल दिया. 45 के बदले में मैंने 65 लिख लिया. तो फिर वो एक ही लाइन पे आ रहा. थोड़ा ही तो बदलना है, देखने के लिए कौन आता है. Ethics. So I'm actually manipulating the data to fit into my story. वो रिसर्च नहीं है. इसी को रिसर्च बोलते हैं कि जो मैंने पहला सोचा था वैसे नहीं. There are a lot of new things, so you keep on trying to find it out. If it is real research, you will find it out. Like, see, again COVID, the vaccines or all things. I mean, now you are reading about UK, this mutation and all. So abhi, now these scientists are doing something else than what they were doing before. Likewise, if I manipulate my data to suit or drop out something that is called as data manipulation. So many things. The object of research is to extend human knowledge beyond what is already known. Yeah? To extend the knowledge. But an individual knowledge enters into the domain of science only after it is presented in others in such a fashion that they can independently judge its validity. Well, जब तक मैंने उसको scientifically publish नहीं करते, once I publish it scientifically, when I read it, I don't even need to believe. I can validate it by myself because जहाँ पे मैंने resource, मेरा data, सब कुछ किया है. Scientific knowledge, sharing the knowledge. Science is shared knowledge based on a common understanding of some aspect of the physical or social world. Presentations. Social conventions play an important role in establishing the reliability of scientific knowledge. How reliable it is. Someone has published something. This is when now I am going to show about indexing. Next point is indexing. So I decided to add this because without making this point, I cannot jump to indexing. So I realized that I'll add this point as well. So peer review. यानी कि I write a research paper and I submit it to a journal. That journal, if it is a good one, will not publish it straight away. They'll send it to people who by the data bank shows that they are expert in the field. We call it as peer review. Depending on what is the quality of that journal, rigorous review has to be done. Until finally they either accept it after several changes or reject it. Yeah? So, why we are publishing? अगर publish नहीं है, continental drift theory of Wegener, yeah. So you are all geographer. Even if you did not specialize in geomorphology, you know Wegener, वो तो general geomorphology में first year में ही रहता है. He is known as the father of continental drift. Whenever we talk about plate tectonics today, we begin with continental drift. The data that he produced, unfortunately, all from the land, nothing from the ocean. That's where he went wrong. But you could not argue with that. He was producing the facts. He failed in the end because he couldn't give a sound answer to what was the mechanism of this continent drifting. But before him, there were Antonio Snyder. There were at least 3 or 4. There was nothing like geologists, geomorphologists. You can just call them as thinkers and philosophers. They had already reconstructed it. Antonio Snyder तो अभी तक बोलता है कि उसने मेरा चुराया. बात उसको चुराना नहीं बोलते. You publish, it's your credit. If you do not publish, जो मन में है उसे क्या? The person who writes it with facts and a figure and publish it into the scientific community, you will get the credit of it. So, I can give you so many examples. There was a student of mine. I was teaching in SP College, and that student has become a teacher somewhere. आज से 4 या 5 साल की पहले की बात है, 5-6 साल. मैडम ऐसा टेलीफोन है. मैंने कहा क्या है, ना क्यों चिल्ला रहे, रो रहा था. वो बोले मैडम यू नो, नहीं वो आई थिंक 10 साल की पहले की बात है. मैडम यू नो, ये लोनार क्रेटर है ना, ये लोनार क्रेटर के बाजू में कुछ और किलोमीटर जाने के बाद देयर इज अनदर स्मॉल लेक व्हिच इज वेरी स्मॉल बट इट हैज गॉट द सेम शेप. वो मैंने डिस्कवर किया है. एंड मेरा थियोरी है कि उस वक्त जब ये एस्टेरॉइड हिट करते समय उसका एक टुकड़ा वहां पे जाके गिरा. आज तक ये कहीं पे भी नहीं. और ये मैंने किया और जाके मैंने कॉलेजेस में भी बोला. लेकिन लास्ट वीक जियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया का ट्रक्स एंड ट्रक्स आके उसका फोटो लिया, उन्होंने ये पब्लिश किया. वो मैंने पहला डिस्कवर किया है. उसने पहला डिस्कवर किया है, लेकिन उसने उसको पब्लिश नहीं किया. उसने उसको डेटा जनरेट नहीं की. उसने उसको साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी के सामने नहीं लाया. तो जियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया ट्रक्स एंड ट्रक्स लेके आ गए, उसका सर्वे किया, उसका एनालिसिस किया, उसका पब्लिश किया. तो अगर तुमने पब्लिश नहीं किया तो तुमने रिसर्च किया नहीं. ओके, सो यू हैव टू पब्लिश फॉर योरसेल्फ टू शेयर. जो पब्लिश करता है उसका क्रेडिट होता है. और पब्लिश करना इसी थोड़ी होती है. मेरे स्टूडेंट ने बोला ये मैंने डिस्कवर किया, बट इफ यू कैन राइट लाइक दैट, तुम न्यूज़पेपर में लिखोगे, लेकिन तुम साइंटिफिक जर्नल पे तो नहीं लिख सकते, बिकॉज उसके लिए डेटा लगता है, डेटिंग लगता है, केमिकल एनालिसिस लगता है, मॉर्फोलॉजिकल एनालिसिस लगता है. So many things you need to study to make a scientific publication. That is how a newspaper is different, and that is how a scientific journal is different. मैंने वही कहा कि डोंट वरी, देखेंगे, बिकॉज उसको सच्चाई बोल के और दुखी क्यों करवाएंगे. Why publish? Why publish? Because you have to publish. Yeah. So आज तुमने PhD मिलने के बाद तेरा वो जो what's the time now? What's the time now? What's the time? I don't know what's the time. Can you tell me what's the time? 5:46. So I have got till 4:30. 5:06. Oh my God. Okay. I need to finish quickly. So आपने रिसर्च किया है तो ये PhD का थीसिस अगर आपने लाइब्रेरी में रख दिया तो you have not published it. You got a degree, but you haven't shared it with the scientific world. So you need to publish. I'll go a little fast, okay? I don't have too much of time. So I already talked about authorship. I can keep on talking about a lot of it. So who should be, how it has to be listed is very important based on. So suppose after you finish your PhD, if you write a research paper, if you write, your name will come, your guide name will come, and you can write the name of your friends for acknowledgement. But while writing the paper, if there are some friends who actually had helped you in, data generation, field work, if you want, you can even write. So authorship is extremely important. This is where the ethical violation can be done. So an author should see to it that ensure that the work is new and original. If there are 4 people writing, all 4 of them should know where it is submitted. They have to have a consent together. They have to agree that manuscript can be examined by anonymous reviewers. It will go to people who do not know you. Provide copies of related work submitted or published elsewhere. कि अगर मैंने इसका एक partially कहाँ पे submit कर दिया, copyright, ये सब author का responsibility है. You have to copyright का permission लेना. अगर तुमने कोई figure किसी से ले लिया और अगर तुमने किसी को कुछ cite कर लिया तो उसको, these are all the responsibility. What is publishable? Journals like to publish papers that are going to be widely read and useful to readers. In some way, it is going to add to it. Either it could be the methodology, it could be the finding, some additional. So it is not just my biodata which I take care of. So depending on the journal, how good or how bad it is, bad nahi bolungi, how useful it is. Publish कर देने का और सारी दुनिया ने उसको कभी देखा ही नहीं, उसका कोई use ही नहीं. There's no use to it. So original and significant finding. Very well organized and well written. Concise and yet complete. बहुत लंबा चौड़ा नहीं. Concise but complete. So these are publishing. First and foremost, is there anything new? Is there anything that you have contributed, or is it crop combination of Baramati applied to crop combinator or Satara? Morphological analysis of Veena applied to demological of Krishna? Nothing. ये formula इधर apply किया, ये formula इधर apply किया. Is it that, or is it really something new? एक तो भी. One aspect. That's what is publishable. What's not acceptable? कि routine extension of the previous report. मैंने already एक paper publish किया है. वैसे ही मैंने उसी line पे और एक paper saying the same thing, not accepted. Fragmentary report, which is not continuous. Very poorly organized paper. No. Violation of ethical guideline. Plagiarism भी आ जाएगा. So research risk conduct में आता है कि fabrication, falsification, and FFP. Fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. It's making up data or results that recording or reporting them. Falsification is manipulating research material, and plagiarism. Using the ideas or words of another person without giving appropriate credit. So I told you it is built on trust. I have used someone else's definition, someone else's finding without giving anything in the end. Plagiarism. प्लाजरिज्म अभी एथिक्स नहीं रह गया. अगर ये रिपोर्ट किया तो यू विल लूज योर जॉब. बहुत बेइज्जती होगी और आप करेंगे भी नहीं. आई डोंट इवन थिंक यू नीड टू. सो मुझे आपको ये बताने की जरूरत नहीं. आई एम जस्ट टीचिंग. ओके. सेल्फ प्लाजरिज्म, जो चीज मैंने पहले ही लिख लिया है उसी को मैंने इधर भी लिखा एज इफ इट इज अ न्यू वन. जो मैंने पहले पब्लिश कर लिया है, that publication has done already. I can quote it with that reference, but I cannot use the same thing here again, pretending that this is a new finding. दोनों नहीं. So ये सब हम पढ़ेंगे नहीं, टाइम बहुत कम है. रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी 1.5 घंटा में पढ़ाना है इस वक्त. So blah blah blah, so many things. It is the responsibility of me as a researcher and author to take care of everything. That जो भी material, जो अगर फिगर रहेगा, किसी और ने पब्लिश कर लिया, I can use it. पब्लिश इसलिए किया है कि लोगों ने यूज करे. बात अगर कॉपीराइट रहेगा तो उसका परमिशन, रिटन परमिशन, नहीं तो उसका ड्यू रेफरेंस. So that I'm telling everybody that this I have taken from this, because there are things which people have already found out. I don't need to do that research again because इन लोगों ने already उसका data दिया. I can use it if I use. So ये सब ना पढ़ के, in short, that's what it is saying. So it's a tale of two cities. You have what? It is a tale of two citations. The most unethical practice involved substantial reproduction of another study, यानी कि किसी और का study, without proper acknowledgement. If such duplicates have different authors, then they may be guilty of plagiarism, whereas papers with overlapping authors may represent self. So मेरा ही खुद का 2 बार, 3 बार, 4 बार. ओके. और ये बहुत होता है. बहुत जल्दी मैं बताती हूँ कि I don't have so much of time. You must be tired already. बहुत जल्दी से देख लो. ये एक स्क्रीनशॉट लेके रखो. These are the plagiarism detecting software. आजकल है ना, कोई भी PhD भी रहा ना, पुणे यूनिवर्सिटी यूज टर्निटिन, I use टर्निटिन, शोध गंगा, and look at that, all these names हम पढ़ेंगे नहीं. ये सब सॉफ्टवेयर आया है. All the journals are there now. पहले ही they have got their own software. If there is any parallel word, थोड़ा रेड कलर होके आ जाएगा. Before it goes into the editorial system, ये filtered पहले बता देंगे कि इसमें से 60% तो पहले ही आर्टिकल से है. अभी उसका स्कोप भी चला गया. Okay, but it's only of the online available material. पुराने जो जर्नल है 1980 की पहले, 85 की पहले, वो ऑफलाइन रहता था. वो तो अभी भी कॉपी करते होंगे. But see, now look at this. Turnitin plagiarism checker is what I have in my computer. It's compulsory for us. That, and then university has to have a certificate before you submit your PhD. You have to have this certificate and they have to pass it. Okay. So now the software is there. They won't allow you to. So I've already conflict of interest that could affect the interpretation of the finding. यानी कि Western Ghat ka evolution. 2 people are saying 2 different things. Ask me. Sometime later, if we get time, I would like to share with you. Conflict of interest जिस पे है, वो हमने पहला बताना चाहिए that this is a topic which has got lot of conflict. These geologists say this geologist said this, and now I am going to say my finding. देखो, but I have already made it clear that अभी भी ये ऐसा कुछ ना करके जैसा मैंने की, जैसा कि what I am saying is the best thing in the world. Conflict of interest मैंने disclose नहीं की. Misinterpretation of research finding, use of selective fraudulent data. So any kind of data manipulation, they are all violations. हम पढ़ेंगे नहीं. I already have spoken many things about it. Data manipulation. You know what? I would love to talk to you for the whole day about that. तो और हंसेंगे भी. Sooner or later, ethical violation get exposed. Now I am going to forget it. Before that, अगर तुझे plagiarism, see many times क्या, you will allow me to speak for 5 more minutes today, okay? I'm finishing it, but it's not going to be dot at 6. I'm going to need 5 more minutes, so please allow me, and I'm going to speak very fast. Screenshot लेके रखो, ये जो मैंने किया है. बहुत बार क्या होता है, ये प्लाजारिज्म का सॉफ्टवेयर है, वो ओनली पैरेलल वर्ड को हाईलाइट करते हैं. So when we cite an article, if I pick up his word as it is, I see I have already acknowledged that I have taken it from this writer. फिर भी अगर मैंने ये वर्ड को चेंज नहीं किया तो वो सॉफ्टवेयर तो उसको लाल कलर दिखाते जाएगा. You won't be passed. So even if while you are citing a reference, you have to rewrite the sentence like how I have done. I have done it for you. You take the screenshot and read it afterwards. Don't lift the sentence as it is, even if you acknowledge, because the software doesn't know. It will just highlight the parallel words. You cannot have the parallel words. So see, इसी को मैंने कैसा rewrite किया है देखो. Again, don't read it. Meaning is the same, but there not even a parallel word you will find. So how do we format the last part? एक बार आपने एक फॉर्मेट को हाथ में ले लिया तो वो फॉर्मेट जो है यू कैनॉट चेंज इट. फिगर FIG1, तो मैंने क्या किया, F कैपिटल लिखा, फिग लिखा फिगर के बदले में, यहाँ पे फिगर ऐसा लिखा, यहाँ पे यू टेक एनी वन यू वांट, लेकिन आपने एक पकड़ लिया तो वो थीसिस के शुरू से एंड तक यू सेम. ओके, फॉर्मेटिंग इसको बोलते हैं. फिगर और प्लेट, you can show it differently. फोटोग्राफ्स को प्लेट एंड ग्राफ्स को फिगर ऐसा भी दिखा सकते हैं, और you can show it as continuous. It's up to you. So देखो, टेबल TABLI कैपिटल. रिमेंबर, डिजाइन रिसर्च डिजाइनिंग में ये भी डालते हैं that what format is that we are going to use. These are scanning electron microscope of mice elements. One sand grain has been enlarged 1000 times. And sand grain भी नहीं, they are microscopic grains. And the features which are documented on it. So मैंने उसको कैसा नंबर कर दिया देखो. I have called them as plate number. Plate number 1, photo number 1, 2, 3, 4. See, plate number करके मैंने, और फिगर film images of the ravines along the bank of Tapi river. इसको मैंने फिगर. चैप्टर नंबर 1 रहेगा तो सब फिगर्स को बोलने का 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. चैप्टर नंबर 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. चैप्टर नंबर 3, 3.1, 3. So the first one, it's for the thesis, not for the research paper. Thesis के लिए पहला ये shows it belongs to which chapter. Okay? See now, I have just lifted from some table. अगेन टेबल का फॉर्मेट अलग अलग हो सकता है, लेकिन एक फॉर्मेट आपने पकड़ लिया तो यहाँ पे एक ऐसा, यहाँ ऐसा नहीं. नाउ लुक एट दिस, ये टेबल जो है यहाँ पे कोई लाइन ही नहीं, यहाँ पे तो कुछ भी लाइन नहीं, whereas यहाँ पे एनीथिंग यू कैन यूज. टेबल भी कैसा लिखा है देखो, तुमको लगता होगा कि ये इतना क्या है. यहाँ पे टेबल सेंटर में लिखा है, ये जो टेबल है ये बोल्ड लेटर से लिखा है, लेकिन यहाँ पे बाजू में लिखा है, या यहाँ पे टेबल ऊपर लिखा है. You must be thinking that what's the big deal? It is a big deal. This is what you call it as format. रिसर्च जर्नल पे, जिस जर्नल पे आप सबमिट करने वाले हो, you have to follow it. In your thesis also, pick up one and you will follow that. इधर एक, उधर, इधर एक. This is what is not taught in our research. हमारा स्टूडेंट एक टेबल ऐसा, दूसरा टेबल ऐसा, तीसरा टेबल, and every table and every figure which is there in the text has to be mentioned in the text. Table figure number 3.2 says, आया हुआ रहेगा, जल्दी जल्दी से देखो. For last 5 minutes. So अभी देखो. Measure as well as trace element of 10 samples were conducted and the results are displayed in figure 3.2. See, हर एक फिगर एंड हर एक टेबल को तुमको मेंशन करना ही पड़ता है. अगर इसमें से एक भी मिसिंग रहा, that's the end of the story. Yeah, reference. Indexing of journal impact factor. This is the last point, and allow me to speak for the next 4-5 minutes. Indexing of factors. Journal impact factor ये आपने बहुत सुना हुआ है. What is the meaning? फर्ग्यूसन कॉलेज में एडमिशन लेने के लिए अलग मार्क लगता है, दूसरी कॉलेज में अलग मार्क लगता है. एक ही कॉलेज, there are so many colleges in Pune, but every college has got their cutoff different. क्यों? वही पढ़ाते हैं, सिलेबस वही है. This is college standard. So वो truly standard है कि नहीं, वो don't worry about these colleges. I'm just telling it to you कि सेम चीजों को अलग अलग तरह से करना, इसको बोलते हैं कि स्टैंडर्ड. नेचर था scientific publication, it has got impact factor of 42.4. Science and impact factor अब बदल गया हुआ रहेगा, it keeps on changing. 33 point something. Journal of Geophysical Research. There are so many millions of journals. I just picked up some of them. So now, look at how they are writing the reference here. No, it's following a format. Okay? यहाँ का देखते हैं. Farina V, Reefs JT, Senaike CH, and Song JJ. And here is the title. Here is the name of the journal. Here is the volume. And here is the page number. And here is the year. Okay? Nature का. Journal of Geophysical Research का ऐसा नहीं है, देखो. Bradford JM. RFPS 1980. Missing reference is what is so serious, and we don't teach the students that it's not allowed. You cannot miss any single यहाँ पे. Anything that you cite it over here, in the end it has to come without breaking the format. This is what you call it as formatting. Take the screenshot of all of them and read it at home, because let's not read it. Geomorphology 2.7. तुझे लगेगा 2.7 कितना कम है. Most of the geography journals are of this. Now you see, Varnes 1978. While you are citing, you will be citing only the surname. No initial. Joshi 1975. Veena Joshi नहीं, Joshi VU नहीं, लेकिन यहाँ पे लिखते समय आएगा either VU Joshi or Veena Joshi based on the form. यहाँ पे कहीं पे भी surname छोड़ के कुछ नहीं आ सकता. If there is single author, it will be Varnes 1. If it is two author, it will be Kosot and Moriner. And if it is more than two, it is called as Eto. ETAL 200. उसका मतलब है दो से ज्यादा है. ये सब आप यहाँ पे with alphabet से आप इसको. Journal of Quaternary Science, John Wiley and Son, impact factor this. Look at their format. So यहाँ पे during the body of the text, whatever that you cite, एक भी miss नहीं हो सकता. Okay? और यहाँ पे जब आप लिखते समय, you will follow a format, and there are so many formats. I'll show it to you. Catena, they are all from geomorphology, impact factor this. How it is written here, how it is cited here. I wish I had more time. JISRIP for geomorphology, impact factor this. So, कुछ में AND लिखते हैं, कुछ में यहाँ पे देखो, सब कैपिटल हो रहा है. देखो कैपिटल, पहले का कैपिटल कहाँ था, देखो. So these are called as different formats. Current science top in India. फिर भी impact factor is quite less. So एक एक पढ़ा होता, but हमारे पास टाइम नहीं. स्क्रीनशॉट लेके रखो. These are some of the most common ones. MLA, APA, Chicago, IEEE, and Turvanian. This is the APPA style. आप ये स्टाइल यूज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन एक बार आपने एक स्टाइल को पकड़ लिया तो from the beginning till the end you stick to one. This is what you need to do. Yeah. MLA style. Look at this style. You don't have time to read them. And I hope you are taking screenshots so you read it afterwards. Chicago style. IEE style. Unfortunately, see how we are making mistake in some of the journals that we have it here. सुब्रमण्यम एसके, मैंने कहा कि ये एसके नहीं आना चाहिए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे ना स्टूडेंट देखते हैं ना जर्नल देखते हैं, नोबडी इज लर्निंग। रेफरेंस में ओनली देशपांडे, अरे उसका देशपांडे का यहाँ पे इनिशियल आना चाहिए, और यहाँ पे एटोल, एटोल नहीं, यहाँ पे ऑल द राइटर का नाम आना चाहिए, नहीं तो कैसा पता चलेगा 5 लोगों ने मिलके लिखा हुआ है। और इन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंडियन जोग्राफर हो तो मैं प्रेसिडेंट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हूँ, हम भी तो मिस्टेक करते हैं, लेकिन अभी नहीं। नाउ स्ट्रिक्टली इट हैज गॉन इन द गुड हैंड्स, यू वोंट सी मिस्टेक हियर। मैं यहाँ पे आपको भी दिखाना चाहती हूँ, IGK, LMN, RK, ओके, या एंड सी देखो, सराफ AK एंड चौधरी PR, या यहाँ पे सराफ AK और यहाँ का N देखो शॉर्ट, यहाँ का N देखो शॉर्ट, तो तुझे ऐसा लगेगा कि उसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है, ये बड़ी बात है, इसको फॉर्मेटिंग बोलते हैं। आजकल तो मैंने सुना है बिब्लियोग्राफी, रिमेंबर बिब्लियोग्राफी इज डिफरेंट, रेफरेंस इज डिफरेंट। रेफरेंस है कि ये बॉडी ऑफ टेक्स्ट में मैंने एक्चुअली साइट किया है, बिब्लियोग्राफी मीन्स मैंने बहुत कुछ पढ़ा है, नॉट नेसेसरीली साइटेड इनटू इट। सो बिब्लियोग्राफी मत लिखना, ओके, यू हैव टू राइट रेफरेंस। अगेन स्टूडेंट लोगों का मिस्टेक, क्योंकि हम सिखाते ही नहीं। अब देखो, ये हमारा ही जर्नल है, इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंडियन जोग्राफर, आयला शुड बी हियर ना, इट हैज टू कम अल्फाबेटिकली ना, तो मिस्टेक टीचर्स भी कर रहे हैं, जर्नल एडिटर्स भी कर रहे हैं, तो स्टूडेंट ने किया तो क्यों गुस्सा करना, लेकिन करो, ओके, डोंट। एंड आजकल मैंने सुना है कि सॉफ्टवेयर भी करते हैं, these are the indexing of the journal. Scopus, Google Scholar, SEE, Sage, Thomson Reuters, Ulrich, Open, they are called as journal का index. Journal को impact factor कौन देता है? और साइंटिस्ट को जोशी मैडम इज H index कौन देता है मुझे? मैंने लिखा हुआ जो आर्टिकल है उसको लोगों ने कितने बार साइट किया है, साइटेशन इंडेक्स। और ये जो जर्नल है, ये जर्नल में पब्लिश किया हुआ आर्टिकल को लोग कितना पढ़ के दूसरे जर्नल में साइट किया है, बेस्ड ऑन दैट इंडेक्सिंग स्टफ। दैट्स व्हाई इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर 40, इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर 1, इम्पैक्ट यानी कि दिस इज कॉल्ड एज इम्पैक्ट, दिस इज कॉल्ड एज इम्पैक्ट। जोर से मारा, धीरे से मारा, ये रिसर्च का इम्पैक्ट कितना पड़ता है साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी। If the one research is cited by 500 people, enormous impact, और किसी ने उसको देखा ही नहीं। This is how the indexing is done, and these are the points, yeah, and these are the publishers. Again, you know why I am showing it to you? क्योंकि जब इंटरव्यू के लिए आते हैं स्टूडेंट बहुत बोर करता है, और सम स्टूडेंट्स बहुत एंथुसियास्टिक, मैडम मेरा एक आर्टिकल पब्लिश हो गया, मैं बहुत खुश हो जाती हूँ। आई सेड इन व्हिच जर्नल? Elsevier. Elsevier is the name of the journal. They are the publishing houses, good publishing houses. They won't publish XYZ Tom, Dick and Harry, but they are publishing houses. Student को उसका फर्क नहीं पड़ता। You say I have published in Catena, I have published in geomorphology, I have published in economic journal. They are the names of the international journal that are published by some good ones, Macmillan or John Wiley and Sons, or Springer, Elsevier. They are the publishers. Okay, don't confuse between the two. And these are the good ones. वो ऐसा चीजों को पब्लिश करेंगे, yeah, because we don't have to. ये मैं बात में बताती हूँ, we have no time. मैं मेरा टेलीफोन नंबर आपको दे देती हूँ, मेरा ईमेल ID veenajoshi@gmail.com। आप लोग मुझे मेल करो। अगर तुमको सचमुच जाना चाहते हैं तो मैं उस वक्त आपको बता दूंगी। Let us have some communication. If you are interested, okay? I'm finishing in 2 minutes. Don't stop me now. See, this is my. Insert text box. Okay. ये मेरा Gmail is better because university का वो बहुत बार खुलता नहीं. See, this is my email ID. If anybody of you would like to talk more to me, मुझे mail करो. आज तो time नहीं है. I took too much of time. I'll finish it right now. How do we check if there is any reference missing? Well, it will take a lot of time for me to teach you this. So I skip it. How do we write heading and subheading? ये भी skip करती हूँ with one sentence. Chapter number 2. 2.1 Introduction to Study Area. Okay. 2.2 Climate. Climate में मैं 4-5 heading लिखने वाली हूँ. 2.2.1 Temperature. 2.2.2 Rainfall. 2.2.3 Relative humidity. Then next point 2.3 Natural vegetation. यानी कि how do we write heading and subheading? This is also very, very important. So sediment analysis. Sediment analysis is 3.2. Okay. लेकिन मैंने 10,000 sediment analysis कर लिया है. तो मैं heading कैसे डालूंगी? First 3.2.1 textural analysis. 3.2.2 chemical analysis. और chemical analysis में मैंने अलग दो किया है. One is the trace element and one is the measure element. 3.2.1.1. Okay? ये हम बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे अगर आप जानना चाहते हैं. To conclude, there are a variety of format. You can choose what you want, but you have to stick to it. You will never find any formatting error in any big journal, and therefore, जिस पे formatting है, they are not good. And therefore, do good research, student. 1960 नहीं है, अभी 2020 है. हमारा बहुत उम्मीद है आप लोगों को, लेकिन आपको सीखना जरूरी है, प्रैक्टिस की जरूरत है. So, in big journal, if formatting is not done correctly, एक सेकेंड में फेंक के बाहर आ गया, because all software is there. उनकी फॉर्मेट में अगर नहीं बिठा तो वो उसको एक्सेप्ट भी करेगा नहीं. And therefore, कभी कभी क्या होता है मालूम है, even if you are very careful, बार बार वही पढ़ने से कुछ मिस्टेक है ना, हम नजरअंदाज होने लगते हैं. So before printing, give it to your friend. उसको रिक्वेस्ट करो, मैं तेरे बड़ा पाओ चाय ले लूंगा, तुम जरा पढ़ो. और टेल टू योर फादर और योर मदर और योर सिस्टर और योर ब्रदर, समवन को जिसने ये पढ़ा नहीं, फटाफट 4 मिस्टेक को तेरे सामने निकाल के दिखाएगा जो तुमने 10,000 बार पढ़ने पे भी दिखा नहीं. Because our brain got used to it. So many things you need to do. Well, be selfish. You are working for your own degree. A goal रखो, अच्छा टाइम यूज करो, all those things. So ये तेरा PhD है, अगर तूने इंटरेस्ट नहीं लिया तो कौन ले लेंगे. So okay, where to publish? Last sentence देखो. It depends on quality of the research and outcome. If it is a high quality research, you call the shot. मेरा रिसर्च इतना अच्छा है, नेचर में पब्लिश करो. लोग बोलेंगे कि मेरे इसमें पब्लिश करो, मेरे इसमें पब्लिश करो. So where to publish? I don't decide my quality of research. अगर क्वालिटी नहीं रहेगा तो कोई भी उसको पब्लिश करेंगे कि नहीं. एंड देयरफॉर बार बार मैं बोल रही हूँ, घड़ी है ना वॉच, उसका कीमत कैसा रहता है मालूम है? 50 रुपया से शुरू होती है, 100 रुपीज से शुरू होती है. ब्यूटीफुल वॉच, गोल्डन कलर का. अगर तुम वो लिटिल बिट आउट टू तुलसी बाग, वो 6-8 महीने 1 साल अच्छी तरह चलता है. गिव्स द सेम टाइम. Do you know what is the cost of Rolex watch? It begins with 20 lakhs rupees. दिखने में वैसे ही दिखता है, अच्छा भी नहीं दिखता. Rolex watch. क्यों? 100 रुपीज में भी मिलता है वही टाइम के लिए. Why I am spending 20 lakhs? इसको स्टैंडर्ड बोलते हैं. जिसके पास बहुत पैसे है, they are buying. जैसा उसका स्टैंडर्ड है 5,000, जैसा हमारा जैसा है. ये मैं मनी के बारे में बोल रही हूँ. कि एक ही चीज हम अलग अलग तरह से कर सकते हैं, उसको स्टैंडर्ड बोलते हैं। सो मनी के बारे में मैंने बोल दिया। 1 बजे रोलेक्स में भी 1 बजता है, 100 रुपीज की वॉच में भी 1 बजता है। लाइकवाइज रिसर्च में स्टैंडर्ड है। 100 रुपीज का रिसर्च है, नो वन विल रीड इट, इट वोंट बी पब्लिश्ड एनीवेयर। लेकिन मेरा बायोडेटा बढ़ता है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम प्रमोशन भी होता है यहाँ पे। अभी ही शुरू हुआ है, रोलेक्स वॉच क्यों नहीं खरीदते रिसर्च में? क्या ऐसा रिसर्च करो, घाई मत करो, try to produce something that instead of you worrying where to publish, let the journals go. Say published. Yeah. Last. What type of research is funded today? अभी इतना कंपटीशन हो गया है कि जो रिसर्च उसका आउटकम को किसी को यूज नहीं, ऐसा रिसर्च फंडेड। And therefore, research which talks about global warming, climate change, or truly problem oriented, those are the research which are actually funded nowadays, क्योंकि वो जो outcome है ना, that can be actually used for planning. So the big institutions, European agency, European Commission, they have stopped funding 1-1 करोड़ 10-10 करोड़ रुपयाचा. Now they will truly see to it that the outcome of that is going to be used. So choose carefully your topic. To summarize, well, I have said everything. It is not the honors and prizes and fancy outsides of the life which ultimately nourish our soul. It is the knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our very being is good stuff. So this is what the research is. Good luck to you all. Thank you, students. Sir, I finished.
Thank you, madam. This session open for the question and answer.
Okay.
Student ask the questions. Student ask your questions.
How is it possible that you don't have any question in your mind? Or perhaps it's too late. So if you would like to interact with me, I've already given you my email ID. I'll give you my telephone number afterwards. And once the COVID is finished, you can come to my department as well. Yeah? But I'll be still happy I'll be happy to take some questions if you are interested. Good luck to you, students. बहुत उम्मीद है आप लोगों से. You are the pillar of tomorrow. You are the one who are going to show to the younger generation how geography of different specialization is going to take hold. So, I think I've got some questions. Thanks, madam. Excellent lecture is delivered. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much that you liked it. So, Ganesh. Who is this? Yes, Ganesh.
Yes, madam.
Yes. So,
Thank you, madam, for this informative and very excellent. Thank you.
thank you so much. I would like to meet you once. Please come to Geography Department. Okay?
Yes, definitely, madam.
Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. I will
May,
look
may I
forward to
request
meeting
to
you.
Kumar Singh madam to give vote of thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So now let me just stop sharing. Okay. I stopped sharing. Yeah.
Okay. So it's my privilege to have a vote of thanks. I myself, Komal Singh, would like to thank Veena ma'am for such a wonderful talk. Ma'am enlightened the topic research designing, formatting, and indexing. Veena ma'am speaks about in-depth knowledge of research and research problem, explaining it in a easier way, giving such example of a generation technique, data analysis like badland topography, then impact of review of literature and research framework, data manipulation and reliability, and framing a list table, figures, and references, and so many more things. So, thank you, ma'am, for such a huge knowledge. And definitely, it is beneficial for we all. Now, I would like to thank Principal of ST College, Dr. Dattar, Madam, HOD Dr. Sunil Gaikwad, sir, coordinator of this coursework, Dr. Manojkumar Devni, sir, and joint coordinator, Dr. Daure, sir, for organizing this PhD coursework. And lastly, I thank all the participants for attending this session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
madam.
Madam, thank
See
you.
you. See you. See
See you,
you.
ma'am. See you, ma'am.
Veena ma'am.